All Indiana Politics
is your premier source for Indiana politics.
Focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
I'm Garrett Bergquist, government reporter for Wish TV. I recently caught up with Indiana's new Secretary of Commerce, David Rosenberg. The Secretary of Commerce leads the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. Governor Eric Holcomb named Rosenberg the new Secretary of Commerce on August 15th after Brad Chambers stepped down. Rosenberg had been the Chief Operating Officer for the IEDC for the past 2 years. We talked about Rosenberg's plans for growing Indiana's economy. We also spent a significant amount of time talking about the LEAP project near Lebanon. Let's welcome in Indiana's new Secretary of Commerce, David Rosenberg. David, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, great to be with you.
So how does it feel to be leading IEDC now?
It's a true honor. I can't thank Governor Holcomb enough for his trust in the team and what we've been doing. You know, Indiana's had unprecedented success over the last 2 years. We've had nearly $33 billion of committed CapEx in the last 6 quarters. That's a figure that would normally take 6 years to achieve, and we've been able to do it in 6 quarters. And that investment's happening all over the state. Nearly half of that is in urban areas, half of that is in rural and mixed rural areas. And the great thing about those is that they're bringing wages that exceed the U.S. national average. And so these are true quality over quantity careers for Hoosiers that can really put more money in Hoosiers' pockets and really change the generation of a family.
Why does economic development matter to the average Hoosier? You talk about all these high dollar investments, but why does this matter to the average Hoosier?
Absolutely. If someone goes from making $15 an hour to $23, $24, $25 an hour, that can truly change the trajectory of a family. It makes everything easier. Study after study have shown that health outcomes improve, education outcomes improve, just quality of life improves. And so being able to attract those high wage jobs and those economies of the future can really change a person's trajectory and a family's lives here in the Hoosier State.
You talked about attracting the high dollar jobs. What about those middle skill jobs?
Absolutely. You know, we're undergoing a manufacturing revolution. Manufacturing 4.0 is absolutely critical. And what we do in Indiana, manufacturing is in our DNA. We're one of the top 5 states in the U.S. for manufacturing, number 1 in the Midwest. And so it's what we do really, really well. We need to take those manufacturing jobs that we currently have, continue to upskill people, and get them into those economies of the future, those Industry 4.0 jobs. And we're working closely with our partners like Purdue University, IU, Notre Dame, Ivy Tech on bringing those careers and training people for those jobs of the future, which can increase the wages and again, really set a family up for great success.
Are there any plans right now to expand the LEAP project?
So we're working hard with the local stakeholders, and I think we have a really good vision for LEAP. Right now, I think the framework is pretty much set. Expanding it beyond kind of the initial land that we have under control right now as a state isn't in the cards, and so I think we have a good framework, and now it's time to go to work to make sure we bring the development that we see. The pipeline is incredibly strong in LEAP. We have over $60 billion of potential deals that are in various phases, including negotiating PSAs for land at the LEAP district. And so, you know, Eli Lilly is the anchor tenant there with their $3.7 billion investment. It's the largest single-site investment for a manufacturing facility in Lilly history, one of their first investments in nearly 3 decades in Indiana, the largest IEDC deal that has been done. And, you know, the day of the announcement, Dave Ricks said that Lilly would not have made that investment in Indiana but for LEAP and the vision for LEAP. And so we're going hard to work on implementing that vision and ensuring that we can fill the park, as we've said.
What's the latest on the microchip processing facility that's been bandied about for that LEAP?
Yeah, I can't comment on any active negotiations right now.
Okay. Will the LEAP model be applied to other counties in Indiana?
I think it's certainly where the market is going. I think LEAP will certainly be the biggest in terms of scale and size. But, the vision for LEAP is truly how do we attract those economies of the future? Looking 20, 30, 40 years down the line, for our kids' generation, what jobs will set the economy and really pace it? And it's microelectronics, it's EV battery, it's ag tech, bio life science. And those companies want to be in clusters with talent, with other companies that are doing what they're doing, really pushing the envelope in the future. And so Purdue President Mung Chiang, who's a great partner of ours, has termed it the Hard Tech Corridor, which goes from Purdue University in West Lafayette down through LEAP and down to the new IUPUI campus in Indianapolis, which ties into 16 Tech, what's going on with Elanco's headquarters. So the Hard Tech Corridor is truly something that we can market to both companies, to talent, to driving our population here.
The LEAP district has gotten some pushback from local landowners. Does that give you any pause?
Everything that's happened at LEAP has been, respecting private property rights, and these have been voluntary transactions with landowners that have wanted to sell property. Understand, people's concerns and fully respect that. Agriculture is a huge driver of our economy, and it will continue to be. That's not something that we're turning our back on. But the LEAP vision includes ag tech as well, and being able to produce more with less. And so we're really focusing on that and driving innovation and change and developing those economies of the future here in the state.
Should there have been more transparency with that project? The county officials had no idea it was coming.
We've met with the county for over a year and a half now, and we work very closely with all the local stakeholders. Mayor Gentry in Lebanon has been a great partner of ours, as well as the Lebanon City Council. And so we meet with them on a bi-weekly basis to bring them stakeholder updates. So I think the transparency has been there. We've had dozens of public meetings that people have spoke at throughout the process. And so I think we'll continue to be transparent with stakeholders in the area and continue to get out information as we have it.
But should there have been more transparency at the front end, if not with the public, then at the very least with the county officials?
Again, I take, I don't agree with that assertion. I think there was transparency in the front end, meeting with commissioners, meeting with their attorneys. And again, I think the project has unfolded.
We talked about some of the new sites, such as the LEAP project. What about the older sites in Indiana, such as the now idle GM plant in Anderson or the Borg-Warner plant in Kokomo? What are some plans that you might have to revitalize those sites?
Absolutely. So we have the largest strategic site initiative program in the country, and that's where we take all of our assets, both existing buildings and land, and market that to the community. And so marketing is a key element of how we attract businesses here, both telling our story, but also being able to market those sites. And again, Indiana is number one in having those SSI sites ready to go that we can take to companies around the world and really have a package built for them when they come here.
Do you potentially see those sites coming back as a manufacturing facility substantially similar to what they formerly were?
It's community by community, and that's one of the great things about the READY program is that the regions are really taking responsibility for what they want to see in their area. We've seen things like in Columbus, an old mall was transformed into an indoor play center and playground, but also sports fields and facilities to attract tourism. And so it's really up to that region, working through the READY program and working closely with those local stakeholders to determine what they want their future to be. And then certainly as we market those sites to companies, if they want to come there, work with the locals, ensure it's a good fit, that makes sense as well. But the regions are really taking responsibility for how they want to control their future, and we're supporting them.
I want to go back briefly to the LEAP project itself. Looking back at some of the criticism that has been leveled at it, does this suggest that the state should focus more on the counties that already are actively courting such sites if you want to go forward with future development sites similar to LEAP?
Look, it's a new program. The state has never stepped in and really had this vision. I think the vision has already come into place with Lily's investment and with the pipeline we've seen, and so the market has absolutely responded. I think also we've seen counties who are active in recruiting businesses see that the LEAP model is one that truly works for the market. Getting sites under control, having utilities ready, having zoning and annexation ready, I think is really important. And so we've had counties on their own go out, put sites under contract and start to develop them where the state's not even involved, and they come to us with almost a fully baked site that then we can go market with them to other companies. And so, I think the LEAP vision vision is responding to what the market needs to see, and speed is a new incentive for companies coming in and making those investments and getting that return on investments. And I think those who are, again, setting their own future, going out, working on land and recruiting companies will have a lot of success as they move forward.
So, as you take the reins here at IEDC, how do you define IEDC's mission, and how might that differ from your predecessors?
Yeah, it's very much in the same line. You know, our mission is population growth, because when you grow the population, you grow your workforce and you grow your GDP. You become more productive, and so it's walking on two paths. First, you have to attract the economy of the future. Again, those jobs that will be the high-paying career 20, 30, 40 years down the line. Semiconductors, EV batteries, bio-life science, ag tech, AI, robotics, the list goes on and on. So you have to really be making those investments and attracting those companies now so they can drive the economy in 20 or 30 years. With that, part and parcel is that we have to invest in the communities where people want to live and have all the amenities they need. And again, that's not the same all across the state. And that's why a program like READY is so critical, because the regions can take control of their future, determine what's important to them and how they want to attract the population, what amenities they need to provide. And so having great places to live with all the amenities and quality of life that talent is looking for, plus attracting the economy of the future, is absolutely essential to achieving that goal of population growth.
That was Indiana Secretary of Commerce David Rosenberg. As a reminder, you can catch All Indiana Politics every Sunday morning at 9:30 exclusively on Wish TV. I'm Garrett Bergquist. Thanks for listening.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.